Hello everyone and welcome back to the one and only Bear Bar Tales. It is I, the one bear brave enough to say the world is flat. Look, I know, I used to be like you, living in the darkness that is NASA's lie, but recently I've been talking to Drake, and honestly, he really started to open my eyes.
Good. Welcome to True Knowledge.
I'm just kidding. We all know the world is a cube and we're all actually in a simulation anyways. Because I'm the Bear Bard. So for now, let's feed that Matrix algorithm with some tasty TTRPG horror stories. Today we have a nice example of what happens when your DM was the kid who, before he lost a game of GoldenEye, he slapped that reset button, unplugged his controller and went home, having never lost. Unfortunately, sometimes that kid grows up to be a GM who is then featured on this channel. Now, before we get started, I have a mission for all of you. This mission, should you choose to accept it, will be to slap that like button. I could really use the validation. Then, make sure to subscribe. Every sub I get gets me one step closer to proving to people that Christopher McCandless was not this great character or even a good dude. He was just some whiny rich kid who didn't listen to anyone who knew better than him and ended up paying for it. God, I hated reading that book. Even his nickname for himself was arrogant, Alexander Supertramp. The only Supertramp I accept is singing about breakfast in America or taking the long way home. Now, if you're interested in a personal update, I'll have one at the end. Regardless, let's get to today's story titled DM Throws a Tantrum Because the Entire Table Isn't Happy with the Constant Banning. TLDR, DM can't handle anything that makes class/race distinctive. Storytime. This happened a few months ago, and now you guys get to hear about this. DM, he has 14 years of experience DMing. Been doing solely 5e campaigns since it came out, or so we were told. Player 1, me. Started 1 year ago playing D&D running a Sylvan Gloomstalker. Player 2, been playing D&D for about 5 years running a variant human fiend warlock. Player 3, been playing D&D for 2 to 3 years running a Tiefling School of Illusion wizard. Player 4, newish player running a Bugbear Zealot barbarian. Player 5, been playing for about 5 years as well running an Aasimar Oathbreaker paladin. The DM presents us with a really cool world setting. For a rough recap, during a major battle that party members took place in and were parts of different factions, an unknown force opens a portal to another world and the party gets their memory wiped. No one knows who is allied with who and, skipping a lot here, they decided to work together to find out what happened and if they can reverse whatever it is. P.S. We were all starting at level 3. We spent an entire month with the DM on a way to create backgrounds for our characters, considering we don't know what our background is. While the DM really took a 180-degree turn later on, the process was actually pretty cool and everyone enjoyed it. During this month, we spent a lot of time making sure that the classes/races were approved, etc. With that out of the way, let's get to it. Session 1 goes fine, no red flags. Session 2, we have a pretty tough fight with local bandits who are hiding in some expansive underground ruins. In one part of the ruins, I get a great stealth roll, and due to Umbral Sight, we managed to gain the upper hand on a fight when we were at the end of our rope. For the next 30 minutes, the DM is acting short with me specifically. I used to have a habit of sometimes letting my character do things without really talking it through with the other party members, so till the end of the session, I was worried that that's what I was doing. I sent messages to the other players, and they were like, "Nah, you're cool," and you're right, the DM was acting short. We don't know why. So after the session is over, the DM, without leading into it or anything, just sighs and says, "Umbral Sight is broken, and we need to find a way to fix it. Otherwise, I might have to ban it." It took me by surprise, since that one fight is the only time where Umbral Sight got into any consideration, as the section of the ruins we were exploring had plenty of light to negate it. I usually don't argue, but we spent a month working on these characters, and they went through every part of the character sheet to make sure it works. Why is this just surfacing now? Either way, no way to argue. They said we'll talk about it after the next session, and just goes away. In the next 2 weeks, we talk about it a few times, and basically the crux of the issue is that the DM doesn't want people cheesing fights. Okay, fair enough. But it's not like I was abusing it. It came into effect once, and then it's easily countered by just having light. Dim even works. Even if that's not there, there's smell, there's noise, there's magic, etc. Session 3. With the issues of Umbral Sight in mind, I tried my best to give myself reasons why I shouldn't bring it up. I tried making it very limited when I could use it. DM was acting fine. Then, during a fight with the leader of the bandits who turned out to be a fiend, the paladin crits on a smite. To be clear, you state you're going to smite before you roll, and rolls really lucky on a few of the dice, and takes the bandit down to 0 HP. The fight was still pretty tough, and we already had one person down and the rest between a quarter to 2/3 HP left. And to anyone following, with no surprise, the DM goes quiet and starts getting short with the paladin. At the end of the session now, the same thing happens. The DM, without leading into it, just states that the paladin crits are overpowered, and we may need to remove the extra d8 on undead/fiends, and maybe keep crits to the melee attacks. A few days later, he comes back with the following ruling. Umbral Sight. Number 1, I get to keep the benefits, but I first must roll a hard stealth check, so 20 plus. 2, every time we enter a new room, a new roll is needed. Mind you, there was only one dark room in 3 sessions so far. 3, I'm not allowed to get past without a trace. Paladin Smites. 1, no additional damage dice for fiend/undead. 2, bans upgraded smites, meaning it's always 2d8s no matter what spell level is used. 3, bans crits on smites. Paladin guy gets pretty upset and the entire table is like, dude, WTF, why are you going hard on these things? No answer. Later on, one of the other 3 players reaches out to the DM, and apparently we picked OP classes and it's ruining the setting and world. I think all 5 of us were pretty stunned. The paladin sends a message to the DM on behalf of the entire group that a lot of us put quite a bit of thought into these characters, and it's a bit unfair to get these restrictions after the DM did a thorough back and forth with us before session 1. And we'd like to try either roll new characters or talk about these issues. DM replies that we can talk about it after session 4. Last session, aka session 4. We talk for a few minutes before the session, and DM promises that he won't leave the voice channel tonight until we reach a compromise that satisfies everyone. Midway through the session, we're inside a castle with floor falling all around us. Few enemies on some platforms. The Bugbear Barbarian has a reach of 15 feet on his turns as he has glaive and can extend his reach by 5 feet. So on one occasion, he positions himself in a way that can reach one powerful enemy and focuses on it. Next turn, enemy moves around. Barbarian follows and does the same thing. Suddenly, the DM pauses the session, tells the Barbarian that for this night, he can't extend his reach, and that his glaive can't reach beyond 5 feet. So basically neuter the race and the weapon. At this point, I decided that this was my last session. There's no reasoning with whatever this is. But one by one, the others take turns telling him that this isn't fun with the constant banning of every single perk and mechanic. And there are millions of ways to deal with these perceived issues, and banning every little thing isn't fun anymore. This isn't supposed to be torturous. He just explodes and goes on a tirade about how every one of us can't help ourselves but to min-max every little aspect of our characters. How he can't run a campaign without someone power gaming. Then goes on a tirade about how difficult it is to run a campaign with people ruining the fun. 5 people disconnect, 5 people leave the server, 5 people ban 1 person. I'm not sure what he expected, us not using the mechanics of the game. How this guy ran a D&D campaign is beyond me. What's next? Banning putting points in charisma because it gives you high persuasion check? Y'all feel that? That's I'm taking the ball and going home energy. I always hated the people that as soon as they see something work well, they automatically just say, it's broken. Even if the circumstances were 1 in a million shot and you just happen to be that one. I know back in high school playing Halo with friends, we had this one guy who no matter how he died, that weapon/vehicle was overpowered. I remember one game where he literally complained about almost every weapon in the game in the course of one match. Like, there was never an option other than, it's broken. Here it's like, I get that 5e isn't the most balanced game ever created, but how many times do you hear, that hunter is OP? Because for me, that number is basically 0. Then taking away a paladin's smite, that's like taking the time to bake a cake from scratch, then when it's done, just smelling it and throwing it away. Did you technically have a cake-related experience? Sure. Was it the same as if you had eaten it and enjoyed your life? No. What I feel really bad about is that all the players worked for a long time on their characters and were really into them, and then this happened. It sucks getting invested into your characters just to lose it. If you don't like mechanics and rules as written, that's fine. Just change them before the game and let people know. Once you're in-game, you need to hit some serious roadblocks before you consider changing anything. Now, look, at this point, I know what you're all thinking. Bear, you just pieced out for months. How can you come in here with a story, some lame jokes, and a Drake cameo like nothing even happened? And to that I say, I'm sorry. Truly, this last year has been a lot on me personally. Not even including the move I did a year ago. I've hit some really dark places that were honestly genuinely hard to see through. It really is a crippling thing, and for those of you struggling as well, I keep you in my heart. I can honestly say more than once I went into my comments and just reread your guys' encouraging words. I really am so blessed to have such fantastic people here on this little corner of YouTube with me. So after some really dark nights, I made some major changes. Worked on myself, had my baby girl, and lost 100 pounds. Then I decided I'm just getting started. So thank you all for your support up to this point. I'm stoked to have you here with me in what will be the beginning of my journey. I truly couldn't ask for better people to surround myself with. And with all that out of the way, thank you for listening. Remember to stay kind, stay beautiful, and keep on living that bard life.